Good morning, everybody. Going commando style today with the phone. Driving my wife's car, and I don't have my rig set up in here. I don't have my equipment set up in here for my Facebook Lives. So I'm holding it, but I'm not looking at it. It is not a distraction. I'm fully focused on the road and the traffic patterns and the right-of-ways and the signals and all that good stuff. And this morning I wanted to talk about something that is probably not my favorite topic. It is something that is difficult for me as a business owner and an entrepreneur that's always looking for the next great idea and something that's exciting and new and wanting to build something. It's hard for me sometimes to slow down enough to take a long, hard look at our current systems and processes, spending, and find opportunities to save and become more efficient. It's just not one of my favorite things to do. It's probably not, part of my skill set. I have the capacity to be able to understand it and do it, but I shy away from it. For me, rather than saving $20,000 a month in expense, I'd rather figure out a way to generate $40,000 more of gross revenue. The problem is that when you constantly have to increase profit, increase volume, at some point it puts added strain on your staff and your systems and your processes, and you may break those systems and processes or have to add more people, which is not such a bad thing. But if you can increase your bottom line and your net profit without doing more business, without adding people and expense, obviously that makes a lot of sense. So here today, what I'm going to talk about is inside of our company, how we've identified an opportunity to increase our net profit by almost $1 million a year by just being more efficient. In our construction business currently, our average renovation job takes about 6.5 weeks. When I say takes about 6.5 weeks, the scope of work, the amount of time it should take to complete that job is 6.5 weeks. And right now we have about almost 3 weeks worth of lost time per job. So we measure when we start each job, we measure when we complete each job, and then we compare it to the date that we purchased the property. We often, for budgeting purposes and contractor purposes, are not doing a great job of starting on time. Starting on time for me is we should be swinging hammers and renovating that property the day that we settle on it or the day after. So that's, for us, day 0 is the day that we purchase it. Day 1 is the day after. Right now, on average, we're taking more than a week to start a project. So it's lost time. We have a house that's sitting there. We're not working on it. We're not increasing the value. We're not moving closer to it being renovated, which is ultimately when it can be sold. So we're losing a week's worth of time. And then over those 6-week projects, we're losing 2 weeks in production, either because we have, just the pace of the work is not what it should be. Sometimes we have unforeseen change orders, or we have things that come up that should have been identified that we just didn't address quick enough, problem solve quick enough, and we're losing 2 weeks in production where we should be getting those jobs done in 6 weeks, and it's taking 8 weeks. So here's the deal. We have 3 weeks per job of lost time. We'll call it lost time, lost opportunity, waste, however you want to identify it. We do 200 renovations a year. So you take 200 renovations per year, multiplied by 3 weeks per job, that's 600 weeks. Okay? Now you have 600 weeks, you divide it by the number of weeks per job on average that it should take, which is 6, and then you're left with 100. So what that means is that we could legitimately do 100 additional deals by just becoming more efficient. We would free up 100 weeks. So we could take, what does a week cost us in interest? What does a week cost us in carrying costs? What does a week cost us in lost profits? What does a week cost us overall, and equate and attach a value to that? Or without spending any more money, doing any more we have the project managers and contractors that are on those jobs for that period of time, that if they were not, they would be on another job or another task that they would be able to do more efficiently. So the bottom line is, it's 100 deals that we would be able to free up or do in addition by just being more efficient. If the average deal to us is worth $15,000 net profit, that's $1.5 million in found, not even revenue, it's found net profit. So the lesson here for me is, although examining processes and coming up with more efficient ways to start a budget, coming up with systems of accountability for our project managers, of how to develop a schedule in the beginning of a job, drive a schedule during a job, have difficult conversations with contractors during the renovation project about timelines and the quality of work. Like, a lot of the times at the end of the job, the reason we're over by a week and a half or 2 weeks is we're going back and we're asking the contractor to redo work that's already done. And we call that punch list work, punch out work. And the reality is, if we just identified those issues throughout the process, if we were more clear about our standards and we held them accountable during the 6 weeks that they were working at the job, we ought to be able to just do a better job of finishing. So the real lesson is here, don't always look for something new. Don't always assume that in order to increase your bottom line that you have to do more. I would take a long, hard look at what you're currently doing and find out how you can pick up time and money in your existing business. And a good rule of thumb of doing that is what's called the 80-20 rule. And what that means is 80% of your results come from 20% of your activities. So for us, when we look at construction, we look at, where do we lose the most amount of time? We can't pick apart every single part of our processes and attack them all at the same time. We wouldn't get anything done. But we recognize that when we look at the potential for not only waste but lost time, for us, materials were a big part of our budget. Sometimes they're 40% of a total budget is materials. So we looked into our material cost and our material delivery process, and we found a great opportunity to save time and money within our materials on one task. And then we realized that the other big part is that there was three things that we identified: materials, lack of contractors. We had on average 40 active renovations, and we had about 25 subcontractors to choose from. That's why you saw me recently spreading the word that we're looking for, carpenters and craftsmen and interior home remodelers. We need to add about 20 new contractors to work with. And we got a great response. I appreciate everybody sharing that video and that message and reaching out to me. Dee inside of our office, Deanna Beard, who's been with me almost 10 years, has been reaching out to these folks and onboarding new contractors, and it's been great. We're excited to build our network there with contractors, and it's really going to help us start jobs quicker. It's going to help us, eliminate some of the contractors that we work with. What we identified as the bottom 25% that are consistently over on time, consistently have to go back and redo items to meet our level of quality, and then sometimes they're just a little bullish and sometimes hard to work with. And we're going to eliminate the bottom 25% of people that we work with that create downtime, right? They're costing us time and money. And in order to do that, we have to replace them with new contractors that have been vetted, that we can verify that they, are comfortable working at the pace that we want to work at and delivering the quality that we expect and demand on our projects. So, if you look at your existing business, whether you're a salesperson, a delivery driver, a manager, you run a retail store, a grocery store, a department store, or anything for that matter, before you start looking for ways to grow your business, look at your existing business, and I promise you, you can probably find an equal amount of increased or retained revenue by just getting better before you get bigger. And it may not be your favorite thing to do if you're a salesperson. We tend to just want to sell more, and that's our answer to, our expenses are too high. Well, they're not too high if I sell more, but it is definitely far more realistic to accomplish with a couple of small tweaks. At the end of the year, we went through our expenses and found that we had a considerable amount of wasted money and some marketing campaigns that weren't performing like others. And we trimmed our marketing budget by almost $10,000 a month, which again is $100,000 in retained earnings, or $100,000 straight to the bottom line that we didn't have to go produce. We just saved it. So that's a little story and some insight about how in our business we found it. We realized that we can pick up nearly 3 weeks per renovation project. 3 weeks per renovation project on 200 renovation projects a year is 600 weeks. 600 weeks for us equates to over $1 million in retained revenue and savings. So our primary function right now, we need to hire another project manager. We're realistically going to hire one more project manager. We just need the project managers. We realized in order to be able to hold the contractors accountable and be on the job site 2 and 3 days a week, we need to limit and lower the amount of active projects that they're managing. In order to do that, we're going to need to hire another project manager. We needed to switch up our budgeting process. We revamped the whole process that we've been using for 10 years about budgeting. We shifted that to one person that's responsible for doing all of our estimating. It's had an immediate impact on the time that we're able to turn around an estimate. So it's been great. It's a little painful for me as a salesperson, getting into those granular details and process and doing those things is not my favorite thing to do. But the team rallied behind us. We all put our heads together and over the course of probably 4 or 5 meetings, mapped out a new process, new expectations. And we're gonna, we might miss the $1 million mark, but we'll do half of that easy. And, $500,000 in added net profit to our bottom line means a lot to this company. And, at a minimum, it means that we'll be able to donate more money, to, give more money back to charitable causes. We'll be able to potentially, increase wages and bonuses. We've always done Christmas bonuses. So it's just, anytime that the company does well and the people around us do well, not only the folks that we work with, but the community that we work in. So I get super excited when we grow or, we increase the profitability of the company. We become more efficient. We could do less deals and make the same money and reduce the workload of our people. Our salaried employees and hourly employees make the same amount of money whether we do 300 transactions or 250 transactions. So if by us getting better before we get bigger reduces the amount of work by 20%, like if we reduce or can reduce the amount of deals that we do by 50 transactions a year, and that reduces the volume of work that our employees do, it's going to make their job easier. They're going to have more time to spend on the remaining deals that they're doing, and realistically, the quality of their work will go up. And I'm sure their attitude and demeanor will be improved as well. So anyway, just a tip: get better before you get bigger. Before you look outside of your business and for areas of growth and increased profit, make sure you look inside. I hope everybody has a good day. Take care, y'all.